What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of Point Forward. Today, we are breaking down Victor Wembanyama's first 50 games, which have been crazy. I didn't even realize that.
Me neither.
Evan is admitting that the Warriors have the trap back jumping. And we're talking about one of the greatest freshmen in the game. And lastly, we're tapping in with the one and only Kevin Huerter.
Don't hurt her.
Make sure y'all subscribe to Point Forward wherever you listen to your podcast, and feel free to rate and review us. Then follow us on all social channels at Point Forward. Point Forward is sponsored by DraftKings. Stay tuned because you'll hear more about DraftKings and all it has to offer throughout the show. DraftKings, the crown is yours. I just recently read an article from SB Nation written by Ricky O'Donnell where he goes in depth about Wemby's first 50 games and claims the NBA will never be the same as a result, of his body of work thus far. In this article, he makes claims as to Wemby being a top 15 player already and at worst, second team all defense. While he's a rookie. We've also seen LeBron's Instagram post paying homage to the young phenom as well. So he's definitely stamped and worth the discussion. Let's get to it.
But so how you feel about that, Dre? Saying he's top 15 in the league already, and at very least defensive player of the year. Second team all defense. And right now he's leading the league in blocks.
Right, he's leading the league in total blocks despite playing hundreds of fewer minutes than most of his competitors. So I will be honest. It's not that I just didn't see it because I didn't see it. I didn't see much of him, so I didn't know what to expect. But I will be honest, when I started to watch him play and I paid attention to him, like when he was nutmeg somebody, he went behind the back and banged on somebody, and then his energy versus Shet, they were going on there, that competitiveness about him. I became a fan really fast, and I started rooting for him. That's when I knew I liked him. And just to see him on the court be humble with his teammates, I think just the way he carries himself, and then to see somebody with that type of competitive nature, once he starts gaining weight and figures it out, to slow the game down, and if he gets a hook shot, it's really over with.
Shoot, even just with the threes, right now he's the first player in history to record 75 threes, 150 assists, and 150 blocks in a single season. He's only at game 50. It's still 30-something more games, which is pretty crazy, bro. I think one thing that occurred that he's also stepped up on, shout out to my guy Zach Collins, but you remember they were playing a big next to him, which was kind of forcing Wemby to shoot threes early on that he wasn't really supposed to be shooting, so his percentage was kind of down. But now it's like he's playing under the rim. He's able to float around and got more dribblers, more shooters around him. The game is looking crazy. So I'm wondering, if you're sitting there, is he right to really say, the NBA will never be the same? Who's some of the rookies in the past where you thought shit, this is different, comparably?
I think we don't give enough credit to Dwight Howard, because when I've been in the game and we came in at halftime, and the coach said, "Why are you all acting so afraid of Dwight Howard? He's probably got 20 and 20." Joking. And when he grabbed the stat sheet, he said, "Give me the stat sheet." He's got 20 and 19! I'll never forget that. He was like, "Yo, I'm sick of everybody's afraid of Dwight. I'm sick of this." He's like, he said he probably got 20 and 20. Let me see the shot. The man had 20 and 19 at halftime. This is back then, ET, because we always talk about the game is going to be if we score more than 25 a quarter, hold the team under 25 or it's a problem. And for a guy to have 20 and 19 at halftime, and then you couldn't go in the paint. I remember Doug Collins was pissed at us. What are y'all afraid of? Y'all won't go to the paint? Yeah, because that shit going to get sent right back out the paint.
Yeah, it was real.
And he was just, he took his team to the finals, and it was, we saw Shaq, but we really didn't have too many bigs, and we started to phase out of the big men. Yeah. Dwight's era was the beginning of the big starting to get phased out, but Dwight kind of held it down where you had to have somebody to guard Dwight. And I think that's how the game has changed, where we haven't had a dominant big, per se, that's making you guard him. Maybe Jokic, it could bring it back, but he's kind of like a center guard. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's a point center. But with Wemby, it's when he starts to fill out and he gets very comfortable with himself and he get like mean, if Wemby ever gets mean, it's gonna be a problem.
Yeah, I think he got some meanness to him. I think he's still a pop. I still think you don't perform on that high stage. He's performed on some pretty big stages where he shows up where it's got to be some type of toughness to him. Yeah. And then when he sees Chet Holmgren, they do everything but fight. Like, you know what I mean? When you sit there. And I'm wondering, when you have that conversation between those two, it's like we say all these great things that Wemby has done, but Chet has been amazing in itself. So what do you think that Rookie of the Year race will be? And is it comparable to when the LeBron-Carmelo thing occurred? Not saying the same stature, but in the sense of like,
no, it can be very similar.
Yeah, you got to argue with the coach. You got to argue because I think Chet is on that level too. And I think in a year and a half or not, them Thunder gonna be in the Western Conference Finals.
Man, they might, man.
And like,
and
when they get to win it,
got the torch.
Yeah, and I think when you talk about a torch, and this is what's gonna be crazy. I told my man Tatum, I'm like, all right, now like get it together because it's marketability. It ain't like it's some ugly nigga winning. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, man, this nigga dress well, like good looking, like damn, ain't he finna win a chip? Yeah. And he a good dude. So I be telling Taylor, like, hey, beware, man. A dark-skinned dude's like, shoot, Derek Luke, little brother, might get you. You know what I mean?
You know what's funny, though? Will the new system disrupt the Oklahoma City Thunder?
I think they're just thorough dudes, man. That's a confident group of young.
No, I'm talking about the aprons. In terms of, you got to retain on them guys.
Yeah. To be honest with you, bro, I think it's almost like a college atmosphere over there. I think they comprehend. I think those dudes are super. It's not like this is a super comfortable group. Not even when you look at you pair it to the Lakers situation. When they had like D. Rush, Jordan Clarkson, Kuzma, like people that really had some type of notoriety. Like that was LA kind of playing a part in it, along with like different personalities. But these dudes are in OKC in like a college type atmosphere.
But they win it.
Yeah, and also too, but they're bred in a different environment. I think what they were shown, like you always said back in the day, we're like, yo, you can't build. You always argue when they brought up Sam Presti, like, bro, building a team in OKC is way different than building a team in Philly or New York. Or like what a kid his distractions are going to be completely different naturally.
I'm saying, you think some guys are going to take less money?
Bro, I don't know if they're going to take, bro, they just, what's less money? Like 150 and 125? Like, them niggas rich.
No, but you ain't leaving 70, 80 on the table.
Man, so look, I don't know what they doing, who own the Thunder. Go into that luxury. And when you go into a luxury, it'll fuck around and affect the environment, the economy, and maybe they'll build a new school around that motherfucker. Do that. I'm telling you, and thank me. Let me be the mayor. But go into that luxury, I swear to God, bro, we'll have deep dish pizza and everything out that motherfucker. But make sure y'all go into a luxury. Do not let this team go. Dre, you got to, G.
You got to.
Bro, why else? After y'all trade away 3 MVPs, don't ever touch shit again. Do not touch shit again. Just assume you did a great job. After what them fools did for Paul George, like the trade, like what you got for that, just assume you did an amazing job. When you look back on the OKC days, dog, shout out to Sam, but like, you should be fired for getting rid of all them niggas. I'm just saying, Harden.
I understand what you're saying.
But like you were worried about, and when we're talking about, shout out to Serge, and I don't remember Serge, but like when you look at the game, like bro, James averaging 16 a game off the bench, dog, like with 2 of the top dogs. I'm just saying, I would hate to see it. You almost look at Brooklyn Nets and look at all their roster they had since 2019, 2020, and you'll never be able to get that back. Right. They'll be done for the next 4 or 5, who knows, whatever. So I just think in OKC. Let's get it cracking.
I mean, do you see San Antonio with the same type of trajectory with their young guys?
Yes.
Really?
I think I just think
Because
I'm a conspiracy theorist.
public sentiment. This is not me. I don't watch enough. Public sentiment would say that wembanyama has a Dean Smith situation where they said the only person to hold Michael Jordan under 20 points a game was Dean Smith. Public sentiment is giving the same energy towards someone on the Spurs team.
Really? That's not worse than what your man doing to Moody. And put that on there, because when I started breaking it down, that's full of shit too. Shout out to Kerr, but that's crazy.
I mean, you can only play with so many guys.
You
We
can only
gonna
play
cover them in a minute, so we can
No, for sure.
we can circle the block.
No, you're absolutely right, but no, Wemby gonna be straight G. I don't go against Coach Pop. Shout out Coach Pop.
I'm not talking about Coach Pop.
Oh, who you talking about?
They said Jeremy Sohan don't pass him the ball.
Yeah, that nigga crazy, man. that man crazy. Yeah, don't. That man is out of his mind. Shout out to Sohan. But I love this new era of Spurs.
I do too.
And shout out to Pop for transforming, because you want to know what?
Pop is letting them hope. So I'm like, I don't see what y'all see, because Pop would nip it in the bud if it was an issue. So I don't think it's an issue.
No, but also too, look at the culture.
Yeah.
Good for Pop for going with the times,
Yeah.
bro. You're going from Wemby and Sohan. I mean, like, you got Wemby and Sohan to now, like, to back in the day, you had Tim Duncan, David Robinson, and freaking no lineup Tony Parker. Their haircuts was crazy. There was no sauce on that team. People used to be like, bro, I'm out here looking like a San Antonio Spur. Right, let's just move on from that. Wemby, I appreciate you. We on the team, bro. Let's get it.
Point. Forward.
My Warriors, they are making some headlines. They've been hooping since Draymond's got back. My Warriors made the headlines the other day. Oh, that was a Charlotte game. I missed this part. All right. My Warriors, they made some headlines the other day for a scuffle that ensued at the end of the game versus Grant Williams and the Charlotte Hornets. Shout out to Grant Williams. They competing.
Nah, shout out to Grant
They
Williams.
compete.
I want to touch on Grant Williams' pause later.
They competing. They
Yeah.
competing.
No, they are. They are. I think Grant Williams is going over y'all heads in a certain instance, in my opinion.
Okay, we'll figure that part out. We'll touch on that. You can't say nothing no more around you. No, I was gonna say we'll touch on that pause,
Yeah,
and I
pause.
said we'll fill that out. Pause.
Yeah, pause, bro. That shit matter, bro. I do like, grow up, you 35. I'm like, bro, if you hear what you say sometimes, I'm like, bro, this is aggressive.
No punches were actually thrown in the scuffle. My young boy was part of that. Lester Quinones,
Heart to him.
who's doing his thing. He's got some heart to him from New York. So my job wasn't affected too much, being that there weren't any punches thrown. What's over some of y'all head is that the good guys, quote unquote, have won 9 out of the last 11 games. Well, we should say 9 out of the last 12. Yeah. We had a tough loss to Denver the other night, which is a great sign coming down the stretch, heading to the playoffs. And I guess the question is, are they primed for a deep playoff run? And history says yes.
Yeah.
And here's why, as I read off some stats for everyone. During the 11-game stretch, they are third in the last 11 games in offensive rating and defensive rating. Fourth in net defensive rating. And they say to make a deep run to have a chance to win it all, you got to be top 5 in offense and defensive ratings. Kuminga's been going crazy. I ain't got to speak on that. Y'all already know what time it is. We've been telling y'all for a while. Wiggins is finally catching his groove, doing his thing. He's attacking, finishing around the rim. And I always knew he was going to play well, because like he would just miss like little chips here and there. And I'm just like, okay, he right there. Like, leave him alone.
Yeah, the
Just
ball
let
hit
him
the back of the rim off a floater and shit.
Yeah. Just like weird stuff. Wiggins has had some. He had a big night against the Lakers the other night. You know who's been hooping though? This kid probably got the most confidence in the league. Him and Jeremy Sohan, they're probably competing for the most wavy dudes in the league. Brandon Podziemski. BP is what I call him.
Yeah.
He's averaging 11 points, and now he's starting.
Yeah.
And he's among the best rebounding guards in the league. He steals rebounds, but he's got a knack for just finding the ball. He's always in the right places. You can tell he's always communicating. And from what I'm hearing, he's challenging guys in practice. Like he's got a lot of swag. It's like that unreasonable confidence. Yeah. But you got to have it. We always talk about that. And obviously Steph has been Steph. Clay had 20 the other night in the quarter. Went crazy. He had 35, the most points he's had all season off the bench versus Utah a couple weeks ago.
5 threes versus in the first half versus the Nuggets, right?
Yeah.
He was on fire.
Yeah,
So,
I think he had 20 in the first quarter.
Yeah, I mean,
or was the first half?
Yeah,
First quarter,
something
first
like
half.
that. But I
Yeah.
mean, even with that, it took a 32, 16, and 16 game from Jokic in a high altitude to really take out.
No, it was in the Bay.
Oh, it was in the Bay.
It was in the Bay.
Yeah,
It
to
was in the
take
Bay.
out that team. You know what I mean?
And also Chris Paul, what he was doing for the bench, and he was really had them like staying above water before he got hurt. Like he was really like one of the, I probably say one of the more impactful players on the entire team outside of Steph. He was doing his thing. So, Steve Kerr's quote was, "The goal is to avoid the play-in tournament." But the play-in is 7, 8, 9, 10, right?
Yes. And they're trying to jump ahead right now. I think they have Dallas. The next team in that sense is Dallas. And they're like 3.5 games behind back on Dallas, which is shout out to people complain about Luka Doncic a lot, bro. But that West is tough, and he never falls below 6.
This is true.
Like, and even as a rookie, he was in playoff. But like we say, like he don't try enough, but like dudes have to average triple doubles. Like Russell was averaging triple doubles to make certain playoffs. So you know what I mean?
It's
like
very
Luka, literally. Even I think Damon said it at one point. He's like, man, shit. When I was in Portland, we limp into the playoffs. But you look at Luka good for 2.5 weeks. Like he like, shit, I can lose these last 4. And
This
like,
is true.
And when you're breaking that in, you look at some of the play-in games and the play-in situations. And last year, they fell to the Lakers in the playoff situation and the play-in situation. But how do you think you think they're hitting the right point to try to really jump up those spots and be a playoff team, not a play-in situation, but even if they are a play-in situation, they're playing at a high level. Say they might like the first or second seed. If I'm a first or second seed, I'm worried if I'm facing the Warriors or the Lakers first week.
This is true. Yeah, this is true.
Especially from the standpoint of like how good the team is, but like just marketable. You look at last year, nobody watched the Thunder. I mean the Heat versus Nuggets game. Like shit, I be calling the Nuggets the Thunder. That's how much unmarketable it is. You know what I mean? You be like, man, who is he? Like, you know what I mean? Because you're looking for 4 or 5 main teams, and that's a tough team to match up against. Especially when we talked to Travis Valman earlier about the 50-point Game 7 that Steph can do or what Lakers can do.
So the West is just so interesting. The Warriors do have to play Dallas 3 times. They got to play them 3 more times before the season's over.
Damn, what
so them games are going to be very, very, very important.
Yeah.
And so, everybody's got to stay healthy.
Wait, Kyrie going to be there?
Kyrie will be there. Kyrie like the playoffs.
No, I know. I'm just saying, if Kyrie going to be there with Luka and Luka go crazy, and then Steph kryptonite is who?
Who you think Steph's kryptonite is?
It's Kyrie.
Okay. That's going to be it. It's going to be a really good
Steph, I don't mean that, G. I swear to God, I don't mean that, bro. I just seen what I seen. You still the coldest dude, but I don't mean that. But Kyrie is unbelievable. Did you see how that finished the other night, bro? He could have finished on the right.
He went up with the left hand, switched it to the right hand. I thought he was going to the right side. He still came back to the left side, flipped it and failed. And then saw it all at the same time go in.
Bro, I posted on my IG, but then I was like, why didn't that nigga just lay the ball up why did he just lay the ball up with his right hand?
It was special, man.
So you look right now, man, you got the Thunder and Wolves tied for first. You have the Nuggets tied. Oh, bro, that's tough.
Yeah.
If I was a Thunder and Wolves, I'd take me a couple L's.
But the Thunder beat the Warriors 3 times this year.
I totally did.
2 of them was fluky.
Yeah, but playoff atmosphere, dog. Like, you going up against... One thing I say about the Warriors, bro, and I always tell you, and I hate them motherfuckers, G, y'all were really polished, really good. And like sometimes new atmospheres, like you forget how many... I remember Steph Curry said something after we were about to play y'all in the Western Conference Finals. I'm sitting there, I said, yo, you was at 30 house last night, right? And I was like, you were at Steph's house last night? He's like, yeah. I'm like, he nervous, huh? It's like, nah, dog. I'm like, not at all. Like, he's just shot 38% last, and we kind of hot. 30 seen a lot, bro. And when I broke it down, when you break that down, bro, it's an understatement, bro. And that's why I think the 2 teams, like the Timberwolves, who are still young and still sporadic, that's a scary thing to go up against a Bron.
Right.
And then when you go, like shit, the Thunder, a.k.a. the Nuggets, that's a scary thing to go up against the Beige Boys, bro.
I don't know, man. Shea bringing back dark-skinned dudes.
I forgot about what he did to do. My fault again, Steph.
I had to pull up on him and ask him. I pulled up on Shea. Hey, man, don't be doing that. He said, "What'd I do?" I said, "Don't be posting stuff on your Instagram like that."
Yeah.
He was like, "Man, I don't want to wake up no monsters, man. I don't want no smoke."
You want to know who sent that shot? Chris Paul. Chris Paul, yo, do that to that. Do all that to Buddy. Yeah. Like, that's what happened. He gave him the game plan. How George Karl say you be doing? That's how CP be doing. I'm just joking. Let's so shoot, we talking about, I know Steve Kerr's trying to worry about making it, out of playing games, but we're trying to see the odds of the odds of the Warriors making to the Western Conference Finals and the NBA Finals. So check that out, Dre. What you think?
I mean, the odds have been interesting. They moved even from 2-3 days ago to make the playoffs. Yes is at a plus 105 and a no is at minus 130. Means not making the playoffs is a slight favorite. Interesting. That's a lot of betting. I think a lot of folks would bet one way or the other on that. And to participate in the play-in tournament, they're at a minus 1,100. To make the Western Conference Finals, they're at a plus 700. To make the finals, they're at a plus 1,800. To win a title, this is where I saw it move. It was at a plus 4,000 not too long ago. Now it's at a plus 3,500. And they found somewhat of a groove. That Denver game was interesting though, because the Warriors were hitting on all cylinders early. And I look up, they only up 6 at the end of the first quarter. Then they go up like 16 in the second quarter. Then they go in the half, the game is tied. And then I'm thinking game over.
Yeah.
I knew game was over.
Yeah. Well, you want to know what's so crazy that people forget? We talk about Jokic. I mean, when you play yourself, nobody even brings him up. And Murray. Jamal Murray is, whenever he's activated versus a top 5 team, he's arguably a top 10 guard. Am I wrong for saying that?
Yeah, it's him. It's someone else, too, that I don't think he gets enough credit.
Aaron Gordon.
When he plays his role.
Unbelievable.
You know why?
He's too big, too,
You know what
bro.
I saw?
Yeah.
The way he guarded Kuminga.
Yeah.
He does that on a nightly basis.
Yes.
Kuminga been getting 20 at will
the
last 2 months.
Yeah.
At will. Aaron Gordon has been guarding the hell out of the basketball for the last couple years, and I think it just goes unnoticed because of just the greatness of Jokic and the greatness of Murray. And Perk said it. He thinks they're the best two-man tandem in the league.
Yeah. And Murray, when you talk about Murray, bruh, and I've seen it like firsthand from like the playoffs, it's not like it's Murray getting 23. Murray is getting 33 and 9. He's just not getting 38 and 18 like it's big.
Right.
But every big game he's coming out, man, that little motherfucker cold.
Yeah, he can go.
Him, Shea for Canada?
Yeah, I don't know what Canada's missing.
Man, shit. They better not, if they, and then
They
got Lou Dort. If they, shout out Canada, bro. If y'all can't do shit in the next 5 to 10 years, please shut the fuck up and stick to hockey.
There's some more guys we're not even talking about. There's a bunch of guys.
No, that's on Kelly Olynyk.
Kelly, yeah, Kelly.
We got the Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, Schuanass, the Canadian version of Jordan Clarkson. It's a little boy named Nikhil Alexander.
Yeah. It's a bunch of them. We forgetting some guys.
No, they cold, bro. Joseph, Corey
Joseph.
Yeah, but they have a solid team that should be making a run. Get in on the action with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. New customers who deposit $5 or more can get a no-sweat bet up to $1,000 back in a bonus bet. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code POINTFORWARD. New customers can get a no-sweat bet up to $1,000 if your first bet loses. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code POINTFORWARD. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Or in West Virginia, visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas, 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. One no-sweat bet per new customer. Issued as one bonus bet on an amount of initial losing bet. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See dkng.com/promos for deposit, wagering, and eligibility restrictions, terms, and responsible gambling resources.
Point forward.
Our next one is our newest segment that we've been having is Heard 'Em Say. This is where we, check the streets, kind of keep our ears to the ground, hear what y'all been saying and some of the rumblings. And we got a couple of different topics. And obviously we brought up Wemby. We talked about what he did the other night when he got 5 steals, 5 blocks.
Yeah.
So it's 5 steals, 5 blocks in consecutive games. Only
Oh,
Wemby.
in consecutive games.
Yeah, only Wemby and MJ have done that. So it took Wemby. MJ done that back in 1987. So when we argue this GOAT conversation, it took a 7'4" freak to do what MJ did, I guess, years ago. 35, however many years ago. 36, 40-something years ago. That's crazy, bro. That's wavy.
I mean, this kid has the potential to be really, really, really good. And I hope we were able to appreciate it, because we live in this era of instant gratification where we don't appreciate our greatness the way we used to because we're so familiar with it. We see it every day, and it's just like, I'll just hope we appreciate it, because he's different. When I seen him roll his ankle and pop back up and keep going, I was like, whoa, like he's doing everything he's supposed to be doing. I can't believe he's 7'4" moving like that, and he's really that tall. Like when I met him, I'm talking like I've never spoken to someone like this, like straight up.
So last week, Dre, obviously you're the head of the union, but you notice your job picks up a little bit anytime there's scuffles that occur. Like you said, there was no punches thrown in the Hornets versus Warriors game, but even during that week last week, they try to say the NBA is soft, but last week we had 3 different type of brawls. You got Dennis Schroeder versus Mike Conley.
I can't believe that. Mike Conley's never got a tech in his entire career.
Well, Dennis pushed him, you know what I mean? So it kind of calmed it down. Then you had, obviously, the Warriors, Hornets mayhem, and then remember the Heat Pelicans, Thomas Bryant and
oh, that was crazy.
Jose Alvarado.
Yeah.
They actually
I'm watching the scuffle, and then I'm like, wait, what's going on? I
like,
didn't even see the.
Yeah, why would a 7-footer punch a 6-footer? You know what I mean? What you think about that, bro?
Culture.
That's, I guess so, bro.
You know what? It's all about how you present your product, and I think we just have to understand that. But at the same time, I think you can't have sport without emotion.
Yeah.
And I constantly try to reiterate that to those that are in position of on the financial side of the game. And so they're trying to extract every dollar they can out of the game, and they don't understand the complexities of being an athlete or how your emotions are involved in the game of what you love to do. Like, you want guys to play really hard every single night. You want them to go out there and dive at every basketball. You want them to, like, die on a sword. Like, I'll do whatever it takes to win. Isn't that the story they tell?
Yeah.
But your emotions are going to take over at sometimes, whether it's with an official or that's against your opponent. That's just how we're built as athletes. But that's also why there's only but so many of us. And so I've always had an issue with how they want to portray the game as this perfect, peaceful game. It's like, no, you're going to have tussles. Now, yes, you do need to have accountability in place to make sure people ain't just going out there, wild and reckless. But, like, a lot of these things, like, it's just like the Schroeder Conley thing, I just saw it like, no big deal, keep going. Even the Warriors-Hornets situation, and so I think back in the day in the league, it was more or less like they didn't even have games on national TV. Like, it was tape delay finals. And so
you were seeing everything more. Like, even on NBA TV, when you're watching the games, it's like, man, you can see people acting a fool on the bench. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it was a part of your skill set. A part of the skill set was your toughness.
Yeah.
So the power forward's position was just hitting people.
Yeah.
Like an enforcer was real. Like, they got it in hockey, which is like, that part is funny to me too. So when every sport has their enforcer, and it feels like basketball just taking that, it just stripped that part of the game away. So I don't think we're soft. It's just the way the game has changed because of how we want to present it to the viewer. That's all it's about.
Yeah. I remember I always joked, and I was in Boston one time, and we were talking about the difference between, like, toughness, and they were trying to say hockey guys are tough. And I'm like, yeah, I guess, but, like, not really. But I was like, if it came, like, we would beat the shit out of every last one of those hockey dudes. And now if you call it tough with them just getting their ass whooped, cool. But I guarantee everybody in here would not be injured. So you tell me tough or not. But there's nothing tough about they hit each other 28 times. Them niggas hitting like bitches. Yeah, but they hit like bitches, bro. I'm just joking. No, shout out to the hockey players. Shout out to my guy, David Pasternak from the Bruins. You remember back in Bijou, I saved your life because that one local street nigga was finna do you in.
Shout out to the Celebrinis from Canada who will be future NHL Hall of Famers. They're not there yet. One's number 1 next year, and the other one's coming the year after that.
And shout out to Bedard in Chicago. I know I don't know you, but
he cold.
You holding it down. I'm going to jump the bandwagon, go get your jersey in a couple years, like I did when Patrick Kane and them won a couple Stanley Cups back in the day.
Point. Forward.
First off, man, this is my favorite week of That's a Bar. Y'all should already know her. But who we bringing up right now, man? We can bring up the young phenom from Notre Dame, the freshman phenom, Hannah Hidalgo, Coach Ivy's point guard, star player. You know, just right now, she's went on a 12-game stretch that has never been done before. She's the only player in Division I, NBA, and WNBA to have a 12-game stretch that consists of 280 points, 70 rebounds, 70 assists, and 70 steals, dog. 70 steals in a 12-game stretch.
Oh, wow.
70 steals in a 12-game stretch.
That's like 5.5 steals.
Bro, you could
5.2.
Yeah,
5.2.
you could really only need 4 players. She getting 70 steals, bro. She covering a team's worth of. Hannah Hidalgo. I know we listen to Juju Watkins. The bun is the coldest. Caitlin Clark, the coldest. But we're watching right now, bro. Go watch the Notre Dame game, bro. The truth, bro. I don't even know. People must not want to get to South Bend or something, bro. She's a killer, bro.
Notre Dame always have great guards.
They always, bro.
They had
this is
Skyler.
Bro, this is dumb.
And then they had
Enrique.
Yeah, Enrique. Yeah.
She cold.
Yeah,
She
Milwaukee's
cold.
finest.
Yeah, she
could
cold.
go.
She cold. But bro, this is crazy. If you ever get a chance, go watch her, bro.
70 still sounds crazy, and it reminds me of the story. We're watching film, and Pete Myers, Chicago Bulls legend, he filled in for Michael Jordan when Michael Jordan retired the first time.
It's the truth.
And he's from Alabama Pete, cousin Pete, and we watching film, and he said, Tony Douglas, this is the greatest defensive performance I've ever seen. So I'm thinking, this is a good clip. So he's like, look at this, everybody watch. Tony Douglas guarding the ball, on the ball, pressuring the ball. Ball comes up the court, goes into the post. Tony Douglas, he guarding the post now. Ball gets swung cross court. Tony Douglas guarding him. Pick and roll. Tony Douglas switch. That ain't your switch, but he switches. Then the ball goes out. 2 people close out to the shooter. Tony Douglas closes out. In my history of basketball, the last 50 years that I've been in basketball, I never seen one player guard all 5 players. You broke every principle we teach. But he started off, I thought he was finna show him love. Like, oh, you gonna get some playing time. Like,
Get my deal now.
he said, I
You
never
broke every principle.
I never seen a player go all 5 players in one possession and break every defensive principle that we teach. Man, it was the funniest thing I've
Bro,
ever
that
seen.
reminds me of when y'all made us go watch 2 Live Story that one day, remember?
Which one?
It was one on Snapchat. I remember I went through like 20 snaps. But at one point, I go back to the chat. I look up the Billy Madison thing. When he told the story about the dog again, he was like, that was by far, unequivocally, one of the worst answers I ever heard in my life. You were better off just by saying, I know. That's what it sounds like when he told that. Like, you took them all around. But he said you guarded all 5 positions. You literally broke down everything we taught you. I would have left right after that. That's how you know you're not on the team.
I tried so hard.
Bro, I'm like, Pete, you just got me cut. I'm like, what?
Point. Forward.
This week, we have Sacramento shooting guard, former Maryland Terp, and good friend of ET's, Kevin Huerter, joining point forward today. Evan, do you have anything you want to share about Kevin before we dive into it?
I absolutely do. I want to give like a little disclaimer. Sometimes, you know, bro, the wrong nerd grabbed the phone. Now you get the wrong reputation. You know what I mean? The guy coming to this show is a thorough one, a real one. He already got it, bro. He's in tune. He's been outside. He's been on the porch. You know, every time I pick up the phone and call him, he responds. I always had a thorough, you know, disposition with him. I always appreciate him. But this kid is talented. He's going to have a bright future. And if, you know, after the interview, check out some of his highlights, bro, because what he's able to do in such a short career is unbelievable.
True story. Was he fortunate enough to get a wedgie?
No, I didn't give Kevin Huerter. By that time, you're going to get in trouble for bothering rookies with the Hawks for whatever reason. So to be honest with you, I really just had regular conversations with Kevin, and that's where we joined cahoots. But I'll say this, in that locker room, one thing, every time I would try to come around him and kind of like play around with him, play a joke on him, you kind of had to stop because like, no, he's like, this one of them. You know what I mean? I'd be like, nah, this dude, he ain't even along the lines of like 3. And it wasn't like picking on him, it's just like, nah, he's a thorough dude. So.
Yeah, so I got some coffee because it's early in the morning on the West Coast, and the league has been this color, but y'all have done an amazing job of keeping the standard very high with your skill set, and y'all starting to breed some tall guys, and y'all starting to get y'all workouts. Y'all got some high flyers now. Mac McClung, 2-time champ. Y'all throwing some cream into it, so it's all love. Y'all doing y'all thing. And then I think with Steph and Clay being very, very fair-skinned, y'all just been able to blend in. I want to definitely dive into that in terms of how that Atlanta team was kind of constructed in terms of like who would be the next Steph and Clay. And then just kind of how you've come along in your career, being traded is difficult at a young age, and being able to be mentioned by Kevin Durant, we definitely want to dive into it. But you definitely representing for the cream, and so we showing mad respect, mad love, and appreciate you jumping on this good, whatever day it is, morning.
And Dre, before we get going, I have to tell you 2 of his nicknames. When I got to Atlanta, they were calling him Kavan. Not Kevin, Kavan and Red Velvet. Like, that's how much shit he had to his game.
Why Kavan?
I mean, because he said he played like a black dude. He had some Kavan.
Oh, I like it. That's a compliment then, right? That's ET explain to people how our compliments work.
Oh, yeah, they're basically backhanded compliments, but we basically just say the obvious. It's just super inappropriate.
But it's a term of endearment. That's our theme, terms of endearment. We take something that is negative connotation and we turn it into a brotherly bond.
Take what I can get.
Yeah, so
I'll take it.
Yes. So, Kevin, obviously we've known you for a minute. Of course, big time basketball fans know you, but go out and explain, who Kevin Huerter is for the casual fan and, what they might not know about you.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in upstate New York. I tell everybody I'm from New York, and they light up thinking I'm from the city, and I get the letdown period of like, nah, I'm from 2 hours north of that. So I'm from Albany, New York. I went to school at Maryland. I was there 2 years. First year made the NCAAs. Our second year we didn't, which was the year I came out. So I feel like I was flying under the radar a little bit coming into the NBA. And then spent 4 years in Atlanta. Had an Eastern Conference run that kind of, I think, put me on the map, kind of put our team on the map. Mm-hmm. And then, faced a little bit of disappointment that 4th year. Expectations were a lot higher and got bounced first round by the Heat. And got traded to Sacramento. And I think, the casual NBA fan, or really fans in general, would followed our season last year, the light the beam, all the gimmicks that came with it. And now we're in year 2 in Sacramento, somehow crazy year 6 in the NBA. Played with ET back in Atlanta. I think that was my 2nd year that we were on the same team.
Yep.
So we know each other
for
a little bit. What's crazy though is that I still see highlights like that. For some reason, they keep showing when we played in LA. Our Hawks, I think Danny Green was on that team. He had the behind the back, the spin in the paint, got LeBron. I think that was when Solo didn't jump at LeBron's feet. That was like Danny Green had a tip dunk. They're trying to say like the crowd went. So for some reason, I've seen a lot of highlights of you within the past couple of days of playing in Atlanta. But yeah, your PT was a little up and down. We were trying to win that year, though. So that was
Yeah, me neither. I wasn't tripping. It all played out how it was supposed to play out. You go back to the Atlanta days, and one thing that I remember, seeing you first was when you got drafted, in the same backcourt, same, draft as Trae Young situation. And, I remember seeing you get drafted and being like, yo, there's a kid leaving after his 2nd year from Maryland. And me and Dre joke all the time. We're like, I'll get shocked and be like, damn, a white dude left early. He must be good. You talk about that process. We had a conversation of when you left early, you're just testing the waters, and you're just like, hey, I guess I'll see what happens. When you showed up to the camp, everybody loved you. Can you go back to, kind of accidentally stumbling into the NBA prematurely early on?
Yeah, well, like I said, we didn't make the NCAAs that year. And like honestly, growing up, like my dream was to play college basketball. Like I thought the NCAA tournament was like a major deal. I really wanted to play in the NCAAs. That's what I grew up watching. And so like my college career, we lost first round my freshman year. My second year, we didn't make it. So like right away, I was kind of like, after my second year, man, I'm trying to come back. We had a squad that was going to be coming back. We're supposed to be really good. And so I was like, I want to go back. And at the time, it was really my dad. We had people kind of talking to us like, hey, Kevin should test the waters, see how he does, like kind of figure out where he's at in this process. And my dad wanted me to go. It's like literally just to play pickup. Like we found out like there's a good chance I'd be invited to the combine, and he's like, just go there and play against all the guys that are going to be coming out, just to like mentally match yourself up and use that as motivation for the next year. If you think you're close, if you think you're far, like just go there and kind of get that gauge. So I was like, all right, whatever, like I'll go to the combine. And like I tested super well. Like all my athletic tests I did really well in. Like the shooting stuff I did really well in, and then I played really well. I only had to play the first day, and so like I kind of killed the combine. And so right away there was like it's like, yo, who's this guy? And did a couple workouts after that. And now it's public knowledge. It wasn't at the time, but I got promised by the Lakers after my workout with them, where that kind of solidified. They had the 25th pick, and that kind of solidified like, okay, you're going to be going in the first round. And for me, that was comfortable. Like, again, I'll tell you, like this whole process, I didn't want to leave college. Like I was going through it kind of like in some ways hoping for the excuse or the reason, like, nah, you should wait a year and go back. And like everything was like, you're supposed to come out. Like this is your time. You're supposed to come out. And as you guys know, like your timing of coming out of college, some guys, they go a year too early, they wait a year too late. Like you really have to like go when it's your time. And everything, like the writing on the wall was that it was my time to leave.
From there, you went right into Atlanta. You're able to partner up with Trae Young. You follow up the following year, and you get drafted. They pick up 2 more lottery picks. I remember coming in that year and seeing like, shit, it's going to be a battle. Because now you got Trae, who's for sure going to have the ball all the time, and he loaded Kevin Huerter. Pause with a DeAndre Hunter, Cam Reddish battle and matchup. Early on in your career, when you thought about that and coming out, how were you able to stay locked in and kind of rise above? Because it was 3 very talented players, and you were able to find your niche there over, say, that of a Cam Reddish and, a young DeAndre Hunter.
Yeah, it was. Like at the time, it was just the Hawks were trying to collect assets. So there was that the Trae and Luka trade where they got Cam's pick. So they picked Trae. They picked me later in that draft. Amari Spellman was also picked in that draft at the Forgotten Man. The following year, they came in.
You got traded to the Warriors.
Got traded to the Warriors. Got some stories about him. But so DeAndre Hunter was picked, I think, 4, and then from that Luka trade, Cam was picked 10th. And at the time, right away, I was like, they picked 2 wings the year after I was drafted. And I played a lot as a rookie, so right away it was kind of like, what's the plan here? And but we're all so different. Like I feel like we all, if you look at it big picture wise, like end of a game, we could all be guys that could be on the court together. And so I know I could carve out my little niche. I could find a way to get my playing time. And I respected those guys. Like they're all my age, and I knew they're all super talented and really good. So it wasn't like a hating type of thing. It was, all right, these guys are all good players. Now we're teammates, and we'll all figure it out together. And then the crazy part in it for me was then, after Dre and Cam got drafted the following year, they traded for Bogdanovich, which for me, that was the first time that it was like, all right, so like now they got some guy that does what I do. And so now there was 4 of us. It was me, Bogey, Cam, Dre. We had all played big minutes up to this point. Like the team was trying to push the chips to the center and start winning. And we did that year, which was kind of wild. But that was the first time that year I think it was kind of like, all right, like how's this all supposed to work out?
I want to go back to how you grew up and how you're known as one of the best shooters in the league. And when you came in, they compared you to Klay Thompson in terms of not your games or people, but just shooting in general. Obviously there's a premium on shooting, in the current climate of the NBA, with the way you all have developed a way of being able to knock down threes and the importance of the analytics around the 3-point shot. And so I used to always ask Klay, when did you know you were a great shooter? And so I'm posing you the same question. When did you know,
Like, yo, like I don't miss. And when did you get the confidence? Like, anytime I shoot it, it's going in.
Yeah, I mean, to me, honestly, it was really young. I had the luxury, like I had an older brother, and so my older brother, he was almost 2 years older than me, and so I always played up on his teams, and so like I was always the smallest guy on the court. Like growing up, I had to play point guard because I was the shortest guy, but I could always shoot. Like that was my value, is playing with these older guys, is I could shoot the piss out of the ball. And I think the first time it was kind of like, I think validating outside of your local, like your YMCA or your local travel in your area. We actually, and it's funny now, we still play against him. We went to a tournament. I think I was in like 7th grade, and I was playing for City Rocks. We went and played BABC, and Terrence Mann was on that team. And Terrence Mann at this point, Terrence Mann was a Boston kid, but he was always like, he was always like tall and athletic and just like the best athlete on the court. And then I think when he got to college, like he slowed down growing wise, and then the rest of his game developed. But he was always just kind of like, that guy's the best athlete on the court. And so we played BABC, and again, like I hadn't hit my growth spurt yet, and we were playing against this team that was super good. And I think I had like 6 threes in the first half, and they came out playing man, and like I had 6 in the first half, and they came out in the second half, and like they played box and one on me, and Terrence was the guy guarding me. And so I remember, and I think I ended up finishing with like 20 something. Like I definitely slowed down in the second half, and we won the game. But I remember thinking at that point, like that was the first time respect wise of like, yo, I got the best at like all of us knew who he was. Like you had this tall guy, like all the best athletes in the gym, and I'm like this little white guy, like getting boxed and won by BABC. And I think that was the first time I was validating. But I think my whole life, just because I was always playing up, like my value to stay in the court was to shoot the ball, and so that's what I had to do.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. After the Terrence Mann situation, did you go back to Albany and tell the homies like, yo, the most athletic black guy had to guard me and shut me down in the gym? Like, did you get some type of confidence? Like, yo, bro, I know one thing, when we show up, we be nervous, but now I'm killing them. So I might be switching teams. I might not be hanging out with y'all no more. The brothers want me. Like,
bro. The thing we were talking about, honestly, was Bruce Brown. Bruce Brown was also on that team. And the time, like, we used to call Bruce Brown Russell Westbrook. Like, so Bruce Brown, again, same age, he was coming in like dunking guys. And so we had this, like, in our area, we had this guy at the time, he was like 6'9", big, like could barely move, one of those, like, just the tallest guy in our area. And he got dunked on bad by Bruce. And so that's when we came home for that tournament, like telling everybody, like, yo, Marcus got banged on crazy by this Russell Westbrook looking dude. Like, so that was what we were talking about. But it was, by the time now, I think nobody would have known Terrence if I talked about him, but I think he remembers it because we used to play his teams a lot growing up.
Yeah, well, during that time, too, people forget as well, you also played baseball, and you won a state championship with 2 first-round MLB players. Can you take us back to the day of your baseball days and why you didn't take it pro there? That's where you guys usually excel at.
Yeah, no, I played baseball all growing up, and it was honestly one of those things, you know, through my youth years, elementary, middle school days, like I played them both pretty equally. And comparative to my basketball teams, to my baseball teams, like my baseball teams are always better. Like we're legitimate. We travel to these tournaments, even our youth age, these national tournaments, and almost win them. Some of them win. Like our team was really good. We always used to play late into the summers. And so as I got older in basketball and individually, basketball started to separate itself from baseball. I still wanted to play just because my age group, we had always been really good. And then the culmination of all that, my senior year, which was all the guys I'd grown up playing with, we won a state championship my senior year with that group. But we always had a lot of fun. Like it was, you know, baseball for me is still something. I follow the MLB, the Yankees, like every single day. I think I watch the Yankee games in the off season. So I've always loved baseball, but it was something that I wanted to stick with. But AAU season and our high school season started to conflict too much in high school, and I was like forced to make a decision. Okay, you're either going to this EYBL tournament on the weekend, or you got to stay back and play a game on a Saturday for your high school team, and that was kind of where the two started to separate.
And I want to jump back into Unless ET, you want to follow with something similar, because I'm going back to the NBA.
Oh no, I was just gonna ask: was it a deciding factor like females didn't come to the baseball games? You just hoop because there's chicks at basketball games, or were you like, man, shit? Like, what was the real deciding? Certain people would be like, I love the game. Was there a different deciding factor? Like, the shorty's gonna be here. It get too cold to hit in the spring. I'm straight.
It was honestly, I think it was a time thing. Like, I was definitely really good at baseball growing up. And then I think as I started to get to high school, like my basketball for sure started to separate. And then, baseball's tough. Like you have to keep up with hitting and hitting in a cage. Like we had a little batting cage when I was growing up in our backyard. And so I used to practice it a lot more when I was younger. And I think as I got older, I just practiced basketball a lot more. And then all of a sudden, like when I was in high school, like I couldn't hit worth shit. Like our senior year, I think I batted 8th with one of my best friends. Like I played center field every game. Like I was a great defender, but like by the time I was a senior, I couldn't hit shit. Like once guys started throwing curveballs, like I was done. And so that was kind of my, like that was very easy to make that decision 9th grade. Like, man, I'm better at basketball. I might have more fun playing baseball. Like our team is cool, but like I'm better at basketball. I'll stick with this.
Wait, so how tall were you your senior year?
Yeah, I was 6'5", 6'6".
So what's it like as a batter being that tall?
It felt like they called everything strikes on me. Oh, for sure it's harder.
Okay.
Like the low strike is tough. I mean, I was swinging through everything though. Like it really didn't matter. I was trying to pull everything. Actually, the funniest story of all this, though, is I was a junior getting recruited for basketball. And so John Beeline, obviously you guys know him, he flew up to Albany for one night to see me play baseball. Then I was supposed to meet with him after the game. And so, like, at this point in the season, I think we're maybe 8 games into the year. No exaggeration, I might have 3 hits on the season. Like I said, I'm batting like 7th, 8th. This is my junior year. And like can't hit worth of shit. So he comes to the game and I like put one off the wall. Like the first at bat, he's sitting there. So and he's standing in left field, like put one off the wall. I think the next at bat, like I hit a single. So in the game I go like 2 for 3 with a walk. And so this guy's like, yo, like, should I be talking to our baseball coach? Like is this gonna be a joke thing? And I'm like, bro, you just saw my best game. Like I'm not lying. Like, I can't play at Michigan. So it's like the one time somebody actually showed up, I played well. But like, little do you guys know, like the rest of the season, I'm just a liability. I'm out here. Like I can defend pretty well, but I'm not hitting.
Yeah, I want to. That's so funny. And I was going to go to the rest of your NBA career, but I was a two sport athlete, but I actually thought about being a high jumper. Like I was like number 4 in the country, but you got 2 guys on your team that got drafted, right? MLB, right?
Yep.
What's it like playing with other pros in other sports in high school?
It was a lot of fun to be in the same boat as both of them. So the 2 guys, Ian Anderson and Ben Anderson, they're twin brothers. Ian and Ben, I like all our youth teams I was talking about, like we played with each other since I think we were literally 7 years old. Like 7 years old was the first time you go travel. And so Ian, when we were in high school, so he was taken 4th overall. So he was like a prodigy. Ben went to college for 3 years, and then he was drafted out of college. But Ian, when we were in high school, was, in terms of in baseball, was more of a big deal than I was. And so in school at this point, by our senior year, like I was already committed to Maryland. So like I had my stuff set. And then as we came to the spring in baseball, our senior year, like it was his time to show out, as he's he was already projected 1st round draft pick, this and that. And so he had a camera crew following him around our whole senior year. So we had like a media company with us. Like we had MLB scouts coming to every game. Like every time he pitched, we had minimum 8 scouts out there. Some games you had like 16, 17 scouts coming to watch him play. And so I think for everybody else around the school, like our school at this point had so much juice, because you go from me in the basketball season having all these schools coming out watching us play to now we get to baseball season and all these scouts are coming out. Like the school just had so much juice around it. And so I think we could relate to each other, connect each other through that. we were mid-season. We weren't even done with our season, and he got drafted. Like, he was, I forget the timing of it. It was either April or May. We were going through our playoffs. He had to go down to New York City, like, missed a game, gets taken fourth, comes back, and then he's pitching for us in the state championship. So, like, he had so much hype and juice around him that I think just being his friend, growing up with him, it was great to see. But in terms of, like, the juice that was around our team, it was a lot of fun.
That's what's up. And one of the question that ET asked, how did you pick baseball, or how did you pick basketball over baseball? Was it the shorties? Led me to think, what was Evan Turner like as a teammate to you?
Well, I'll also throw this in there. There's a very different girl that likes baseball players compared to likes basketball players. Like, and you guys both know this.
Explain that. Explain that. We don't know.
I would have a lot more. There's just as a white guy in the NBA, there's a different type of chick that likes NBA players, and I think there's a different demographic of girls that generally like baseball players. So I think someone like myself,
all women love gingers.
You think so?
I know so.
You tell us.
I mean, like everybody, like, we do good. Everybody gets attention. You're a pro, but some of these baseball players and these people that go to the games, I can tell you there's certain girls that aren't into basketball players the same way. But ET as a player though, ET was, I mean, like ET was comedy. It was like every day you didn't really. He was just. I don't know if it's like self-diagnosed or it is diagnosed. Like, like the ADHD, like the dude can't relax. He's talking to everybody. Like, he was everybody's best friend in the building. Like, coach's like best friend but worst nightmare, just because there was times you didn't know if he was going to be locked in and like take it seriously. But he was always a good pro. Always did when he needed to. Got his work in. But like, if you would ask anybody on the team, all right, who's your best friend on the team? I bet you half of them's like Evan Turner. Like, probably that guy. It was like good energy, No,
I know.
Especially
you need some confidence in yourself.
It was hard to take anything serious because we were getting the shit kicked out of us. This is what about Atlanta.
Ass beat.
These dudes would go out, play a bulk of the game, lose by 30. They'll put us in the last 4 minutes. We'll show up the next day. They'll have like an off day lifting weights while we're running plays. So at one point, I'm like, bro, I'm into everything, bro, but you got me fucked up, Slinky. What's his name? Travis Slinky. I'm like, bro, you don't decide.
Travis Slink.
I believed in like the future because I knew they were all good. But at one point, it was like, bro, in order not to go crazy, I just got to laugh at this. And then even when it came down to it, to be a decent, like, not even a role player, like a good vet, it was like you had Chandler Parsons hating half the fucking time. And it was like, bro, how you going to hate on a group of 20-year-olds? Like, you know what I mean? It'd be like
Chandler
shit like
also
that.
was
Like, how you
available
gonna hate
for
on
maybe 2 weeks of that season.
Yeah. The second he found out it wasn't going his way, he just dipped.
No. Say who else was with you on that group? That was you, Chandler, because it was like the vet crew, and then like you said, we'd have kind of a light
Vince
day.
Carter.
You guys would be Vince. That's right.
Vince.
So you, Chandler, Vince.
And Alan Crabb. You guys would be having a light day. And I wasn't tripping, but I'd be like, yo, this ain't how they play all the time. We don't play. They should probably be practicing harder. Like, not waiting for like 2 more years to be good. But I remember that team being really talented. I remember one thing about it was the maturity of Huerter, how he really played. He understood the game. But I think a lot of times we joke around with people. Who's thinks at a different level. And every time we had a conversation, I was like, oh, this kid, really knows something. And obviously you can kind of tell who's going to stick around a lot. So when that game 7 happens in Atlanta, obviously when I leave the team and next year you guys go to the Eastern Conference Finals, there was nothing shocking when, he goes to Philadelphia and puts up 27 in the game 7 and takes them to the Eastern Conference Finals. What do you remember about that situation and those games as well? Stepping up in your first playoffs and many people not expecting much, but you shocking, you guys shocking the world.
Yeah, that was kind of the key. Like, nobody really expected us to do anything. And that was the prototypical, like, a team got hot at the right time. Like, we had a makeup of just shooters. Like, the only people that played in that playoffs was Trey, myself, Bogdanovich, Gallinari, with John Collins, Clint Capella, and a little bit of Solomon Hill. And so, like, the playing group of that, because DeAndre was hurt, Cam Reddish was hurt, and like we just kind of just start to shoot the piss out of it. Like we throw lineups out there with Trey, Bogey, myself, Gallo, and Clint. Clint's guarding 4 people, and the rest of us get to shoot, bomb threes on offense. So it was a lot of fun. I think winning that Philly series was a culmination of all of it. But like I remember Philly that year, like they were the number 1 seed. You could tell they thought we were gonna, and I know this for a fact, they thought they're gonna sweep us, and then we win game 1. They're like, all right, like gentlemen's sweep, they got 1, but like they did not respect us. They thought they're gonna roll us, and so like the further that series went, and all of a sudden you get to 5 games, to 6 games, then game 7, like you could tell doubt started to creep in. Like they're like, how are these guys beating us? Like we're the number 1 seed. We don't even know who half these guys are. They're smaller than us. You got Trae Young as their best player, and we're double teaming him every time down the court. Like we get to game 7, and you could tell when the wheels fell off. Like I think Gallo had a dunk that put us up 5 or 6 with 30 seconds left, and I think the next possession they started throwing stuff on the court, and then we get to the free throw line and we're shooting free throws, and you got Tobias is my guy, but Tobias starts bitching at the ref. Joel he turns around, he's bitching at the ref. Like somebody else, like you could just tell like everything was crashing and burning. And Ben in that series, Ben was up to that player. Ben was an all-star in this league and hasn't quite been the same. And so like you could tell just like there was a changing of the guard that year in that series, and it's such a fulfilling, even to this day, feeling of beating them in their building, and then taking Milwaukee to 6 games and almost taking them down.
Yeah, I want to dive into that in terms of the mentality of an NBA player and how you've grown throughout your time in the league. Going through series like that, seeing what's happening to other guys, how do you take all those things and learn from it for yourself moving forward? Because I wanted to talk about being traded and what that's like, and how you got to constantly keep your confidence in the world that we live in. How have you matured as a basketball player in the NBA?
Yeah, and you guys know, like a playoff series is so much different than a regular season game. Just the intensity of it, the focus level, the scouting reports, and how the game is played, the physicality of it, and so it's just a massive step up. And so that was our first experience in it that year. And now for me, I had a couple more playoff series. I haven't won a series since that year. We lost to Miami, and then last year lost to Golden State. But I think you learn a lot about yourself as a player. What you can do to stay on the court in those. Like you really need, for me, like all the players that play during the playoffs, I feel like have an elite skill. Like what's going to be your reason for staying on the court? You obviously have to play both sides of the ball. Like if you're any sort of defensive liability, you can't be on the court because they're going to seek you out and pick you apart every time. But like you have to have an elite skill, I feel like, to have success at that level. And I feel like that first playoff series I was coming off the bench a little bit. I was aggressive, but then really started to shoot it well. And that's kind of always been my thing. We go back like when I was younger and I stayed on the court playing with my older brother, and my ability to shoot the ball. And so as much as everything else around me changes and learning different skills and trying to be a better rebounder, defender, this or that, like as long as I shoot threes at a high clip, I have confidence in my ability to stay on the court.
I like how, Kevin, you're able to, I was there when you guys were doing a rebuild. You were able to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, something that's very, very tough to do. And then you're traded off to another rebuild situation. What was your mentality and mindset like going over there? Because you know how tough it is to kind of restart. But you jumped right in, had the best year of your career. Points-wise, you averaged 15 points per game. Then you shot 40% from the three. And even was an NBA, three-point participant. What was your mindset walking in over there, and how were you able to start a new chapter and get buckled in so easily?
Yeah, that was Sacramento in our lifetime, 16 years in my lifetime, I've never really seen them win. I was super young during those Peja teams and Chris Webber, and so growing up, the Sacramento Kings weren't a cool team to root for just because they hadn't won. And so, I think when I got traded, I was pretty scared right away. I was like, oh my God, I just got traded across the country. I don't know anything about this team. I don't know who they have. And then, as it kind of started continue to make moves, the roster that we have took shape, and you could look at it and be like, all right, like, this team has a lot of promise. Like, they're making moves, and had traded for Domas before I got there. Fox was already there. Brought in me and Malik Monk. Harrison Barnes is already there. At that point, didn't know they're going to be drafting Keegan Murray. At this point, they're like, oh, actually, he was drafted before I got there. Like, have a 4th overall pick in Keegan Murray. And so, Davion Mitchell, I knew from, a national champion at Baylor. So like, all right, like, this roster isn't that bad. Like, we got some guys here, and guys who have won in other places. I played against Domas, played against Harrison, played against Malik, and always thought Fox was unbelievable going back to our high school days. And so right away I was like, okay, like, they got something, bringing Mike Brown. And then, we kind of hit the ground running. We actually lost our first 4 games of the season, and then went on a winning streak and just kind of got hot and stayed hot. And, the NBA loved us, our home fans loved us. But I think initially I was definitely scared of what was happening. Moving across the country to a team that hasn't won right away can be a negative thing on your career. And I feel like I'd built a lot of momentum in Atlanta, and, establishing myself as a good young player in this league. And you want to keep that momentum, obviously, and continue to build and have success in this league to stay in the league. And didn't start out great, but I think, the more I looked at it and calmed down a little bit, I was really optimistic for what we had here.
What did that trade teach you about the business? Because when you signed that 4-year deal, after the year you had, I thought you were going to go get at least 80 to 100 million. And I remember reading an article, and you were like, no, this will be good enough for me. I understand 65 million is enough money. But now, understanding the business and what you've done, how has your mindset changed as a businessman in regards to your career, much more than like a college approach of like, well, I'll be good?
No, it is. Like, this league is for sure business. In Atlanta, the ownership there is, they're around the team. They're very involved. Tony has Tony Wrestler. He has meetings with the team, business meetings. He's in the building. Like, Jamie Gertz is at every game. They're a very hands-on ownership group. They have 3 sons that are around the team, and everybody kind of gets to know them. And so I think there, like, I felt comfortable. Like, I was drafted by them and had been to dinner with a couple of them, and invited to people's weddings, and I think, like, it's not like I felt untouchable, but like, okay, like, this is a family type atmosphere, and we're building something here. And I was at the ground floor of it. The first draft, I was in Trey's draft at the start of this rebuild, and not that I felt I could be traded, but like, if we're gonna trade somebody, like, I'm not the guy that will be. And then boom, you're traded, and it's all like, okay, like, this is a business. And the year before, going through my contract negotiations, I remember just always thinking, like, the difference between 65 and 70 is not much, but the difference between 65 and 10 is everything. And so you hear all these, like, the horrible stories of different guys in the league, I don't need to say their name, of passing up money, trying to bet on themselves, and then losing out a lot of money. Like, at the time, I was like, I want to make sure I get it first, and then, maybe I could take a little bit more of a risk on my second contract, the one that's coming up, and maybe say no and go to free agency or, wait on negotiation. But like, the first one, I'm not going to sit here and cry over loose change between 65 and 70. Like, just take your 65, swallow your pride, and sign the dotted line. And so then, I signed that. I was really happy about it. But in terms of like the NBA being a business, like, you come here and, I leave an ownership group in a place that I'm comfortable with and thinking I'm family, and then you move out here, and front office, same way. Front office has been great, really close, and have a lot of close teammates. And it sucks because it's, for me, that it's happened to once, it sticks in the back of my mind. Like, this isn't something that's forever. Like, it could be, it might not be, but you can't like plan for it to be. And so you kind of got to always, it sucks, but you're like, you got to look out for yourself in a lot of ways.
And also, too, you look at the levels. You say you got drafted with Trae Young, and say you got drafted with Trae Young. Between those 2 guard draft courts, they spent $270 million. You know what I mean? On like on a salary. So then when it comes down to it, And I wasn't saying anything bad because you look at Dre. Dre turned down $65 million his first time to go get 84. You know what I mean? So I was just always wondering if that was like a teach all one moment situation because, you know, I always look sometimes of how that front office would, you know, try to build a fan. I always love the Atlanta front office. Don't get it wrong. I remember you used to sit there and be like, okay, just be wary. It's still a business. So we're getting invited here, there, and the third. You bought a house and got moved the fuck out a year later. And then they gave your counterpart 3.5 more than what you got.
Right.
Yeah,
I know. Like it is like for sure. You were saying that like we're getting invited to do everything. Everything was great. I did. I bought a house and got traded, I think 8 months later. But it is, it kind of reminds you like it is. It's like a teaching point. Like, right. Like it was a teaching point though. Like the first time it happens, now I'm like, all right, now I know like the rest of my career, it's like, this is kind of what it is. And don't be surprised if it happens again. You got to save yourself a little bit.
What have you changed recently in terms of your preparation or your mindset? And what are some goals for you going forward as you're, you know, reaching the middle of your career?
Yeah. I mean, I think, you know, it's good moving to Sacramento. That's different from Atlanta. You know, Sacramento is pretty easy to lock in when you're here and become a really good basketball player. And so, you know, year 6 in the league, I think you learn different things along the way. I think for me, the routine is everything. Trying to stick and be consistent with your lifting, your treatment, your recovery. Like, there's so much of that is it goes unnoticed. But over the course of a season, like you need to keep up with everything. And so, even your work, like your on-court work, it's figuring out your own routine, your own schedule, what works for you, and then the best you can, trying to stick with it through wins, through losses, through back-to-backs, through all-star weekends or all-star breaks. Like, you know, it's really the best you can do and stay in the course and staying even keeled and trying to avoid the peaks and valleys of a season. The better you're going to be. And I think that's kind of my focus here. You know, we have a team that on some nights, I think we can beat anybody, and then we've lost to the Detroit Pistons and the Washington Wizards at home, both of them this year. And so on different nights, we can get beat by anybody. And so,
which I just beat Denver before the break.
We beat Denver 3 times this year. Like that's the type of stuff. Like it doesn't make sense. You know, if you had asked me today who's the best team in the league, I'm saying Denver or the Celtics, and we've beaten one of them 3 times. But like I said, we've gone the other way and. Portland beat us by 20. Detroit almost beat us twice, and then the Wizards beat us. You know, it's like we kind of got to figure some stuff out here. But we have a talented group, a group that I think can beat anybody. We just got to figure out a way to get more consistent. But we'll see. The West is tough. Like you get into a playoff series, I have a lot of confidence in us, but everything has to do with matchups for sure.
For sure, especially in the West.
Yeah, you guys play versus the Warriors in your first playoff series out west. What do you remember about that series? That was a hell of a matchup series. It was a great first round series, but what did you learn from that?
They should have won.
You know, you can really, really take back for the second year because if there's no Steph Curry born, that motherfucker's 50 points in a game 7, like at the age of 35. Like, what legacy do you want, big dog? Shit. Like, why would he do that to y'all? But talk about
that. I mean, that series for me also just proved his greatness, like in one series. We like our game plan in that was he was 1A, 1B, 2A, 2B on our scouting report. Like everything was geared up. Like how can we try to slow this guy down between coverages and trying to throw different bodies at him to, okay, if we think this is going 7 games, we need to try to wear him out by game 7 and like every game he just answered the bell. Like he was playing 35 plus minutes a night. His shot making was at an all-time premium. And then game 7, the culmination of it where we're at home and we just win a big game 6 on the road and he comes out and gives us 50. Like it was, I think that for me looking back, it just proved his greatness and you see it firsthand. And then just in general, like that dynasty, you know, like if you ask me even to this day, like I think we are the better team, but there's a reason that team has had so much success. And Andre, you know, so much success in the playoffs is like, they just know how to win. Like there's something about it. Like those guys, when push comes to shove, they just know how to win. And so, that's, it's a group that we've played a lot in the past 2 years. There's this little Northern California rivalry that has been a lot of fun. But But I think if there's one thing I'll remember, it's the greatness of Steph Curry, and then just in general, like why that team has been so successful for so long.
And right now, one thing I talked to Dre about, you guys were, when the All-Star things came out, you guys were 6th in the West. You, obviously, I'm a big De'Aaron Fox fan. You had Domantas Sabonis. He was down there averaging triple-double. Unfortunately, you guys didn't have any All-Stars. And I'm wondering, what do you think it'll take in order to continue to change the narrative and gain that natural respect of what you're doing as opposed to like a flash in the pan? And what did you learn from your your first year in the playoffs with Atlanta and how to bounce back that next year? What's the difficulty?
Yeah, like it's as much as you want to sit here and like they're both my teammates. I think they're both very deserving of being in that All-Star game. They're both All-Stars last year. We're virtually the same team that we are this year than last year. But the West is loaded, first of all. Everyone's healthy, second of all. And like you look at the roster of the West and who do you point to in the roster? You're like, okay, our guy should replace that guy. But you could for sure make the argument, all right, Domas is leading the league in triple-doubles. He's 6th in MVP voting. And you're like, okay, it's Jokic, Anthony Davis, and then maybe Karl Anthony Towns. Karl Anthony Towns might be the guy that you point to, but the Timberwolves are number 1 in the West, and that guy put up, 70 this year, and he's having a tremendous season. So even him, like, he can make his own argument. Anthony Davis is going to be a Hall of Famer. It's Anthony Davis. I think people want to see him in the All-Star game. Like, he's a big name. And so it's like, I want to make an argument for these guys and my teammates. They should be there. But I think the circumstance of the season with how loaded it is, and then everybody's healthy. Like last year, you take out Paul George, you take out Kawhi Leonard, those guys aren't in the game. All of a sudden, there's 2 open spots. And so, we just, I think, have to continue to win. Like that, as long as you win, I think everybody's going to get the accolades. We won last year. We cleared house. We got, front office of the year, had a rookie all team, this or that. We had 3-point guy. We had 2 All-Stars. We
Coach of the year,
staff of the year, coach of the year. Like everybody got awards because we won. And so I think at the Kings, we still, each and every year we're relevant, and Domas and Fox are doing what they do. Like they're going to continue to be All-Stars every year or borderline. And it just kind of depends on the season. But like the West is loaded. Like that team and that picture, you can look at it. Those got a lot of Hall of Famers on that roster.
Can you give us a difference between playing with De'Aaron Fox and playing with a Trae Young?
Yeah, I mean,
You're in
very
a safe space
similar in
too,
that.
with friends.
Yeah. Both guys' ability to big safe space. Both guys' ability to just take over the game, I think, is very similar. Just elite scorers at the point guard position are very similar. I think, for as much hate as that Trae gets, like Trae goes in every game and every team double teams him. Every team runs guys at him. And he's a guy that you have to pick up right when he gets over half court. And our playoff run was in a large part due to the attention that he got, allowing other guys to get their open looks and their open shots to get going. Like a lot of that started and ended with Trae. And so he's just he's an absolute menace on offense, and the guy that can take over your game and a guy that can break scouting reports. And similarly to De'Aaron, when I got here, like De'Aaron winning that clutch player of the year award last year, all that does for me is solidifies his ability to get a shot whenever he needs to. Like you go to fourth quarters, and you guys know how this works. The last 6 minutes of the fourth quarter, when it's time to win, you put the ball in your best player's hands and you say, here, go, we're going to get you maybe one switch. It's 5 out, and go get us a bucket without us needing to draw play. And so that clutch player of the year, him being able to average 12, 13 points in the fourth quarter, is his ability, like, De'Aaron, here's the ball. Here's a one-on-one matchup. Go score. And he just did that time and time again last year and has the ability to do it this year. And so he's really unbelievable. Like, I think for me, he's a top 3 point guard in this league for sure. Defensively, I think defensively, when he's locked in, he wants to be, like, his hands and his ability to get steals and back tip it when he's guarding the ball or pressure the ball when he's on. Like, I know it's impossible to do as an NBA player, as an all-star for 48 minutes of a game, but he can just, like, he can snap his fingers, and he's the biggest flip a switch guy in this league. When he wants to guard and he wants to wants to put effort on that side of the ball and really try to lock someone up, like he's unbelievable. And so I think that's the biggest difference is his ability to be elite. Two ways on the ball instead of, for Trey, he's elite on one side of the ball, and then the other side, I think a lot of it's just, effort and, what he's going to do game by game. But De'Aaron's a true head of the snake.
That's right. Well, shit, Kev, we appreciate you, big dog. Thanks for coming through. You've been one of my favorite gingers on earth and one of my favorite, honestly, one of my favorite players, even though we played together it's funny. Me and Kev only played together for like 4 months. We always had like great rapport, pretty decent relationship. I was proud of you. The one piece of advice I gave you didn't listen to, which was amazing for you. Live your life. And, once again, we'll be checking you out, tuning in, and, we'll check you on your podcast with your homies, the Old Terps, Beyond the Big Ten. So appreciate you.
Old Terps. Yeah, I know. Thank you guys. Appreciate you guys having me on. I've been trying to get on for a little while. Now I know you said you're one of my favorite gingers. I knew that there's definitely a little line ahead of me, but appreciate you guys. It's a lot of fun. Let's do it again.
No, for sure. And I'll be seeing you soon as I work for you now. I hope you know that. So the more y'all that I can get involved, the better the league will be. We had a record-breaking viewership on All-Star Saturday night. We had 10 million chime in.
Wow.
And so there's some amazing things we can do. You spoke about your second contract coming up. It'll be after the TV deal, I believe. And so you guys are going to be very rich. So I want you all to just continue to lock in, continue to pay attention. I got to get you a part of one of my boards, the subcommittees that we're creating. You can be, you saw it. And so as we build this thing out, getting more you guys involved and engaged, it's your league, and we're getting smarter. Right. We're becoming better businessmen, and you're going to be a leader. You're a leader now, and you'll continue to grow into your leadership. And so just want you to bask and embrace it.
Yeah, as I start getting a little more hair on my chest, I'll get more involved. It's PA. First couple of years, I was trying to lock in, listen a little bit, but now I've been around the block. I'll get more involved for sure.
You don't need to know. Yeah, you don't need to know much. It's a lot of full of shit people on there. Just make sure you stay locked in. Okay?
That's the issue. I got to get involved.
I'm like, Dre, how the fuck is he on the board? How is this person on the board? You're dealing with fucking idiots. But shout out to the game.
Because he wants to be. Shout out.
Goodness gracious. Well, what we're solving for is it's your league. And I understand what you're saying when you want to focus on your career and you got to get your footing right.
Right.
But you know how you would hear Kobe Bryant read the referee's manual, so he know how the officials were on the court. Or, all you guys are reading the salary cap. All you guys are knowing what's going on in BRI. All you guys are reading the CBA. That's all you're doing. So you're just getting more in tune to what's going on with your game. And so it's not like you're stepping away from it. You're just diving deeper into it. You just have to think of it from a different perspective. And so I just want you guys to be locked in on your business, and, that your careers are really, truly being owned by you all as a collective.
It's true. It's true. Makes sense.
Yeah. All right, so I'll be seeing you at all the meetings. You'll have a wonderful second half of the season. My man, you have a wonderful second half of the season, man. I'm really looking for y'all. Like last year was a great year, and the hardest thing to do is, to prove out that, you are who you think you are. So go in there and lock in and get it done.
Word. Well, I appreciate you guys. Definitely will.